This is your Small Town Pastor Podcast. Let's talk about some real and raw issues happening in your town.
All right, let's get started, guys. I am Shane Tarpley. I am going to be the primary host for this. There may be some other people, leaders and city council members and pastors and community influencers and people like that we bring on from time to time. But for most of the part, you're going to be seeing my beautiful face on this video. So listen, this is what I love to do. I love to communicate. I love to talk through issues. I love to be a voice for people that necessarily don't have a voice or are afraid to use their voice. I will probably make up words along the way. I will probably say some pretty off-color things. I am also a pastor. My wife and I planted our church about 5 years ago, and I'm super excited the way that it's going and growing. We have a growing church in a small town. We are looking to start construction on our first permanent building, and I'm going to take you guys along the journey. We have been through quite a bit. And so my hope for this podcast is to hopefully bring some encouragement to some of my small town pastor friends, because man, these guys, they get easily discouraged in a lot of the aspects of the day-to-day and the mundane and the routine, and trying to figure out, how can I make my church go forward? How can I push this thing forward? I'm not necessarily looking to grow my church to thousands of people, but, I would just like to reach more people. I would like to have an opportunity to not have to do everything in my church. And that's a big epidemic, I should say. Forgive me, I don't want to use the word pandemic anymore than I have to. Lord knows that did a number of damages on some of our psychological lives, as well as our congregational lives. And the other thing is, this is going to be completely unedited, so I'm not going to go back and try to smooth over some of my words or iron out any wrinkles, including my shirt, which I'm wearing right now. So listen, I'm super excited to kick this off, and if you have topics you want to discuss, put them in the chat, and we'll break open those. So just kind of give you a little update about the way things have been going in my life as a small town church pastor. Is we planted 5 years ago, and it was nothing short of a miracle. We were trying to raise a lot of money at one time in a short amount of time, 10 months, and we took this journey and started raising a goal of $200,000. Would sit in front of people that would just blatantly tell me no. Sometimes people would say, "I'll get back to you," which usually meant that they would not get back to you. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. No fault of their own. They were just trying to protect their assets. See what I did there? But at the same time, the journey has not always been easy, as it's not for any small town pastor. There are a lot of nuances that you have to learn to navigate through. There are lots of leadership issues that big churches will tell you to do that don't necessarily jive and work in a small town. And so I'm here to talk about all of that kind of stuff. And I want to be a breath of fresh air. I want to be an encouragement. I want to exhort the small town church members who are discouraged and maybe even fed up with the direction of their church, but they don't know what to do. And sometimes they think, man, it's just better to leave and go find a church that is growing. And you know what? Sometimes that is the case. Sometimes change is necessary. Nobody likes change, especially when the church that you're in has no vision, because there's only one person in that church that can move it forward other than the Holy Spirit himself. But the Lord has ordained and sent a shepherd leader to have the vision of the church. And if that shepherd leader has lost the vision, the Bible says where there is no vision, the people cast off all restraint, which literally means they go crazy. They go in all their separate directions. And what you will find is a lot of times when a pastor or shepherd has no vision, the church will just sit there and people will grow complacent, or they'll get frustrated. So they'll either tolerate it and just say, it's us four or no more. This is the way it's always going to be. I don't want anything to change. I'm growing comfortable. I like my little cozy spot on my pew where I can put my blanket and my fan, and I can leave my purse or whatever, and nobody's ever going to sit in that seat and nobody's ever going to touch it. Or you have the other opposite extreme where people actually do become very frustrated with the lack of direction, and they tend to leave and go and find a church that is effective and active in their community. So I want to talk about all of that stuff. I want to talk about the growing nuances in churches and the trends in churches and the things that we allow in our churches that look attractional but actually are not, especially in a small town church. Planting from a large organization like we did, we came in with guns a-blazing, thinking that everything that we implemented was going to work. And for about a year, it was a breath of fresh air. But then people soon kind of saw through all the little trappings, all the little trendy stuff, all the little, communicating jives, and all the little things that, our worship team tried to be attractional. And the reality is, people in a small town, they don't want that. I said something one time to somebody that we went out to dinner with that really wanted to know more about the vision of our church. And I said something to the effect of, we don't want to bring a Cadillac into a pickup truck world. That's not degrading, because I'm a pickup truck kind of guy. I drive a Jeep. I drove a pickup truck before that. My dad drove a 1970-something pickup truck for as long as I can remember, much of my childhood, until he sold it. And I loved that thing. I loved the the gas smell that would come out of it. I hated to be picked up at school in it because I didn't want my friends to see it. But you know what? Now I respect it. I love it. I see what kind of classic it was. And the thing just ran good. It sounded good. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I can tell all kind of stories. And I hope to tell stories like that along the way. So anyway, the train of thought that I was in, and I'll probably do this because I chase squirrels a lot, but I hope you'll entertain it, and I hope that you'll be along for the ride and the journey. So anyway, going through all of that, I did say that, and they thought I was compromising the vision, but it's not. It's just part of being a leader and having vision for the place that you want to plant a church or even start a business is knowing the demographic that you're planning and trying to reach. So, the people in a small town most of the time are blue collar, hardworking people, family people. They've got financial issues, they've got personal issues, they got marital issues. They're trying to befriend everybody. Everybody knows everybody. And here's the thing. A lot of times your mega church mindset is not always necessarily going to fit and work in a small town. There are things of freshness and newness that you can bring in to a small town as a small town pastor. But the reality is you've got to learn the people that you're trying to reach. And I think sometimes, we come in with this guns a-blazing attitude, or we come in, kind of complacent, just say, well, I'll be here maybe, for as long as they vote me in, as long as they keep me going. And whenever they move me, they move me. So why get attached to people? Why develop relationships? And a lot of times small town pastors will be less willing to develop hardcore relationships with people, but they'll mask it by trying to do everything in the church for everyone or go see everybody in the hospital. And so what you find out is there's a lot of times a disconnect in the relational drive of a small town pastor because, number one, they're expected to do everything. We're going to talk about that in another episode. Number two, sometimes they've lost the vision of exactly what they want their church to do, the direction they want to go in, how they're going to reach people, because we all want to reach people. It's just a matter of how we want to reach people. So to say all that is to say, my hope is to be an encouraging voice to some small town church members, some small town church pastors, some small town community leaders, because, trying to develop things in a small town is hard. It's difficult. And I want to be a voice of encouragement. I want to help you get out of that staleness. And guess what? I'm not going to charge you to listen to this like a lot of people do. Now, I'm in a paid coaching network. I love it. It benefits me. It's my investment. But my hope for you watching this is to be just a breath of fresh air for you and to hopefully bring you some encouragement. So that's our intro for today. Tune in. I'll hopefully try not to keep these longer than 10 to 12 minutes. They might go a little bit longer than that at times and might be even shorter than that at times. And this is going to be real raw and real. and we're just going to unpack a lot of issues that small town churches are facing, small town church pastors are facing, and its members, small town community leaders are facing. So, with that being said, we're going to sign off on this episode, and I hope you'll tune in for all of our episodes to come. With that being said, I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and God bless.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know what you would like to talk about next by leaving us a comment. See you next time.